Hi everyone, welcome to the Productive Mind podcast. My name is Andrew and I'm here joined by Cheyenne. As college students, we're exploring innovative ways to enhance productivity, maintain motivation, and cultivate a well-balanced and healthy lifestyle. Join us as we interview professionals from diverse career paths to gain insight into leading a more productive and healthy lifestyle. We will also address specific topics such as time management, organization, goal setting, and more. Before we get started, we are going to highlight a productivity tool that you could use to be more productive. In today's world, so much work is done on our computers, and it is important to have an efficient and organized method of storage. I enjoy using Google Drive to store important documents, organize my work, and remotely collaborate with others in an easy way. Also, it integrates seamlessly with other Google services such as Gmail, Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and Google Photos to allow for efficient transfer of work from one service to another. I also really like using the Google Drive app to allow for easy access of my projects on my phone when I'm on the go. You can access Google Drive by making a Google account or downloading the Google Drive app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store. Moving on to today's topic. Our guest speaker is once again Dr. Agrawal, and we are going to talk about the difference between being alone and experiencing loneliness. Dr. Agrawal is a seasoned general surgeon and former education solutions manager at Johnson & Johnson India. In 2023, he launched Clues, a training company specializing in selling skills for medical device sales teams. Currently, he serves as a consultant facilitator at the International Academy of Transformative Leadership, where he plays a key role in designing and delivering the Transformative Listening Program. Trained under Maitreya Dadashriji, Dr. Agrawal has undergone a profound personal transformation and now helps others achieve the same. Dr. Agrawal is deeply involved with Maitri Bodh Parivar, where he contributes to team training events and project execution. He is passionate about helping people discover inner silence and emotional stability, and has developed a unique listening service called I Listen You. Tune in to hear how Dr. Agrawal blends his medical expertise with transformative leadership to guide individuals towards a more sensitive and fulfilling life. Welcome to this episode of Finding the Joy in Loneliness. Welcome to the Productive Mind podcast.
So personally, I enjoy being alone most of the time. I have a pretty small social battery, and for the most part, I like to think I enjoy being alone. Deep down, I don't know if I actually enjoy it, but for the sake of being productive and focusing on my work, I tend to isolate myself. Is this a good or bad thing? I'm not sure, and that leads us to today's topic, finding joy in loneliness. Exploring the difference between loneliness versus being alone, how they impact you, and how you can manage your emotions and energy better.
So, Dr. Agrawal, I'm sure many of us can relate to the struggle with loneliness. So why do you think this is such an important topic to discuss during today's day and age?
So there has been a lot of disruption in the way we socialize with people in the last few years, especially since COVID. So all the normal ways in which we used to connect with people, interact with people, overnight it just went away, right? And if you look at in that period, 2020 to 2024 now, the most affected were teenagers, right? It was their prime years to go out and learn how to socialize, how to make friends, how to be in gatherings. And we are now seeing some awkwardness in them when they are exposed to situations. They don't want to call. They just function on text. They are afraid to receive calls also. And if they're in a social setting, they don't know what to do, right? So they then prefer to be on their own. Even though if they don't want to be, deep down, they have this feeling that I want to interact. I want to make connections, but I don't know how to. And that is becoming like a suffering. So being alone, maybe physically they're alone, there's nobody around them, but when they are with themselves, and even when they are with people, they still feel that there's nobody out there for me, or I don't feel connected with anyone. And that is an epidemic on the rise, and it will lead to more psychological issues if it's not addressed.
So you went into kind of a couple topics that we could delve deeper into later on. But to kind of start, would you mind defining what loneliness is for us? is that the same as being alone, or is loneliness and being alone different?
Yes. So being alone is, you are physically alone, right? There's nobody around you. Maybe you're in your room or you're gone somewhere, uh, going alone for a movie. I don't know if you've done that, but I've enjoyed that. Just go for a movie alone or go for a meal alone, go for lunch or dinner on my own, and physically you're alone. But what loneliness is, how you feel in those moments. So even if you're physically alone, are you comfortable with it or you're not? Are you having a sense that there is somebody out there for me? I have friends who I can always rely on. There is support available to me. And you don't feel those things, that's loneliness, right? That you feel you're out there on your own. You have to struggle on your own. You have to achieve on your own. And there is no support available at all. So that is loneliness. Nobody understands me.
So you kind of already talked about the pandemic and how that led to an increase of people not being able to make regular human connections with one another. So why else do you think the youth today are experiencing such a high amount of loneliness?
So one, there is no curriculum or a course, right, in your school or college which teaches you how to interact with people. There never was, because it was happening by default, right? You would go out in school, college, meet people and learn how to interact. Now that disruption happened, there's no course to tell you how to get back into it, right? You have therapy, but therapy is, I think, like an overkill for something like so natural as interacting with people. And as a result of that, what we are seeing now is the way people are building relationships, which is adding to the problem. So now you have things like situationship, where you're not getting into a relationship, but you're just, okay, let's figure this out. If I don't like anything about you, I will just, I'll leave, right? We're trying to figure things out, not involving yourself deeper, at a deeper level, to make connections, to trust someone, to experience pain or hurt, which happens, is a very normal part of relationships. So all that is again adding to the problem. Instead of learning through a relationship, you are now avoiding relationships and again adding to your loneliness.
Do you feel so on the topic of relationships? Do you feel like social media has any play in that? Like I was thinking about Tinder while you were talking about that, and how it's so easy to just get connected with a bunch of people, but no actual relationship is being made. And I feel like that leads to a lot of loneliness afterwards, depression, sadness of not being able to actually connect with somebody.
It does. So somewhere you would have to take a call. Either you continue your life like this, that you keep getting into situation after situation, but there is no follow through. It's not leading to anything. You will still be at the same place in terms of the way you are personally, your growth. Or you choose, okay, I need to stop this and I have to put myself out there. I have to be vulnerable. I have to accept that I am feeling loneliness and I need someone in my life to help me, right? So putting yourself out there is the first and the most difficult step. And unless the youth does it today, it's not going to help them.
So now our listeners might be wondering, this is a productivity podcast, and they're talking about, being alone, loneliness, situationships, relationships, etc. So
Yes.
let's kind of just talk about how relationships, loneliness, and being alone ties into productivity and maybe even personal growth.
Yes. So you mentioned that you like to be alone for productivity, right? That you have to focus on your studies and learn something new. So you stop your interaction with people. But we are humans, right? So we are built to interact. And there are times where either you need energy from people or you need to let go of the energy that you are carrying to other people, right? So let's say you're feeling nervous or you are feeling scared about something and there is no one around you where you feel you can just express that too. It'll just keep building inside you, and then you'll start feeling alone, depressed, and so on. The whole cycle starts. Compared to you have good friends, and whenever you feel that way, you have an outlet. You can go and express and free yourself. Plus, if you have a good friend, they will give you that positive energy to go back to you being alone and then focus on your goals. Right? So, I don't think anyone can survive being alone for a very long amount of time. They would have to again step out, interact, and then go back to being alone if that's what they prefer. The other way is, so either you have somebody outside, like people outside that you can interact with. The other is you're able to discover and connect with a voice that you have inside of you. So we discussed a bit about it in the podcast of the patterns of the mind, that there's a mind and there's a voice, like your instinct, your intuition. Now, this voice is also always with you and always trying to interact with you. We may or may not listen to it. If you are able to discover that, then you will always have someone supporting you, right? You always rely on that voice to give you energy and give you a boost when you're down. So these two mechanisms are there, right? So either you find something inside or you have a support system outside to make sure that when you need help, it's available.
So it's about finding the balance between finding help when you need it, but also being alone when you need to recharge.
Yes. And that's where relationships also tie in, right? The reason why you feel loneliness is because there is nobody else. There's a feeling that there's nobody else. That means you are experiencing a lack of good relationship with someone, either someone outside or someone within that voice we spoke about. So a lot of the loneliness boils down to the quality of relationships that you have. And like we discussed, when you have good relationships, you have the right energy to be productive, right? So when you want to focus, when you want to achieve something, you are not plagued by those feelings that, there's nobody out there for me. I'm always stressed or I'm always scared. So then you'll just go spiraling down. So that's the association between productivity, relationships, loneliness.
So I've also seen it go the other way. You're saying there's a spiral of being alone,
Yes.
and you constantly have that in your head, and you kind of spiral down and end up not being as productive as you could be. I've seen it the other way where they get into a relationship or situationship, or they initially get into the socializing aspect and surrounding yourself with people, but then they spiral that way where they just have them around so much that they can't focus on themselves and have personal growth. So is that something that you've seen? Like, how does that play a role?
Yeah, it's very common. Yes.
Like to piggyback off of that too, like even if somebody's around a lot of people, like they could still feel loneliness. So how do they realize that those are good relationships or quality relationships?
Yes, very nice. I think that's very interesting. So one aspect of it is a learning experience for everybody, right? So at some point in your life, you will go through relationships which are not pleasant, right? And you learn a lot out of it. What's important for the youth and the listeners is how to identify if a relationship is supportive or not. So eventually you want that energy from the relationship, the support that you need. So there are few markers that you can focus on. One is open communication. So the foundation for any relationship to give you good energy is open communication. Are you able to freely express yourself to this person? Or you have to think so many times that what will this person think of me? Will I be judged? And what will be the consequences? That's not good. If you are thinking like that in your relationship or if it's a friend. Okay, so open communication both ways. Second is honesty, right? So are you able to say what you really want to say to this person? No filters. And third, which is the most important, is freedom. Are you able to experience freedom? That is, are you able to be who you are with this person? Does this person allow you to be who you are? So you have people who are controlling, right? They will want you to behave in a particular way or make decisions in a particular way. Like for example, if you go out to a restaurant, it will always be one person's choice. I like to eat this, so now you also have to eat this with me. I like certain kind of movies, so we will only go for these kind of movies to the theater. So it's like a dominating effect on the other person. That's not freedom. So if you're not experiencing freedom in your relationship, not the best relationship that you are experiencing, right? So, but you will only know whether you are in this when you keep experimenting, right? When you keep exploring and meeting new people. So open communication, honesty, freedom, these are what you should look out for if you want to know if it's a good relationship, productive relationship or not. A lot of people today focus on superficial things, like how people dress or how people speak or which culture they are from. But all these things they can be modified, right? They can be changed. But what you cannot change, very difficult, is someone's ability to give you freedom and your ability to communicate freely. So if you have that, then you've found a good person.
So all of these metrics kind of make sense, but it looks like you have to know what's good and what's bad by kind of through experience. Like, you're saying this, but can people really just figure that out, or do they have to experience both ends of the spectrum to get a good understanding of what kind of relationships they need?
Yeah, so most people do experience both ends of the spectrum. They would have horrible relationships and then they will have good ones. It may be difficult to sense the other person, right? That is this person good for me or not? So your focus should always be on yourself. That when I am in the company of this person, what is it that I'm feeling? Am I feeling safe? Am I feeling free? Am I settled? Or I'm nervous around this person. I don't know what's the next thing I should say or do. I feel restricted. So focus on yourself. And then you will know that should I continue or not with this person, right? So all this then will tie up into the energy that you need. So at the end of your interaction with someone, do you end up with more energy or less? That's the eventual thing, right? For productivity. So if you want to know it's a good relationship or not, are you receiving energy out of it, or you just drained, right? There are people who just suck the energy out of you. We call them energy vampires. I don't know if you heard the word before. So there are people who are like energy vampires. They survive by feeding on other people. So they'll go socialize, interact. They will just dump everything on you and just drain you completely, and they thrive on that, right? So you have to know whether you are getting energy out of an interaction or losing. So that, I think that should be easy enough for you to like sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to live by. I'm gonna start looking at each person and seeing if I'm
Yeah, you could make a map, right? All my friends, who takes away energy and who gives me energy.
Yeah. So I guess at the beginning I mentioned that I try to isolate myself for the sake of being productive. You didn't really advise against that. Just kind of gauge both being alone but also being with people and seeing where it kind of works for me.
Yes. So being alone and being social is linked to your personality. It's just the way you like to spend your time. There are people who need people around them every day to function, right? And there are people who prefer being alone. Loneliness is independent of that. So it's something which can be experienced by someone who's alone and someone who's also social. So it's a separate thing. So it's a choice, personal choice to be alone or to be in gathering. But there has to be a mechanism by which you have good interactions with people which support you. Otherwise, by default, you will feel loneliness.
Got it. I understand.
So you're saying that, from what my understanding, you're saying that to not feel loneliness, you look for those like deeper connections with other people and where you're getting your energy from. But I'm trying to, like, an example that I was thinking of. So I was at an event the other day and I was just meeting people like very superficially, just asking them like kind of get to know you questions and then move on. I'm probably never going to talk to them again. Like I still got a lot of energy from that. So how does that work?
So we discussed the importance of relationships in whether you'll feel loneliness or not. The other aspect which influences loneliness is your environment. So you will feel that, let's say you go to a sports event, right? You go to an F1 race or you go to a football stadium. Even if you don't interact with anyone there, you will feel good because the overall energy of that place is uplifting. So energy of the environment will influence how you're feeling and make you feel part of the whole crowd. Even if you don't speak to anyone, you will feel part of the whole crowd.
I understand.
Right? So keeping yourself or going to environments which are supportive, which are full of positive energy, will by default help you fight loneliness.
But then some people would still like leave the football game, or I would leave my event, and then they still have the possibility of feeling loneliness afterwards.
Correct. So it's like you've heard of dopamine fixes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like people scroll,
Yeah.
doom scrolling, and they get a hit of dopamine and it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. Now here what you have done is you have gone and taken a dose of dopamine through an event. And after the event is over, the dopamine high is gone. Now you're back to your baseline. So your baseline again will go down and it will be based off relationships. What is your base support system? Event was just like a high. You went and you got a high and then you came back. So it gives you that momentary experience. But after the event, are you going to feel loneliness or not? Will again depend on your structure that you have built in your life with the people around you, and also the connection you have built with that inner voice that we spoke about.
So that baseline that you're mentioning will kind of play a larger role in our everyday lives, right? So how do we build kind of a strong baseline? Is that, once again, just surrounding yourself with the right people, so that your high doesn't feel like a really big high, like it's more closer to your baseline?
Yes. So one is, if you have already identified or you have people in your life which help you experience open communication, freedom, you have to make active effort of engaging with them at a frequent interval, right? Like at least once a week, for example. You just have to go and meet them, right? No matter what. It has to be a priority. Friendship, like there's a lot of talk going around friendship too. That what is the importance of friendship in our life. So you have to make that time for those people. If you currently don't have such people in your life, you have to make efforts to find those people, right? But by whatever means, such people should be part of your life, and there's enough support, help out there to find people like this, right? You can join communities, you can join groups. For me personally, the best place to find people for me, if I have to build friendships, is the gym, because you have like-minded people there who are also focused on themselves, who are trying to be a better version of themselves, and I want that to support me. Or any sports, right? And you go to any sports area and you find people who are charged like that, or whatever your interest is, right? So simple way is to go to an area where it's a common interest, and then you will find people who will be aligned like you, and they will be able to have a conversation around the same topics and then engage. So some way or the other, figure out a way in which you are meeting new people regularly. Okay, so that's the way you build your foundation, and that's the outside. And the inside that we spoke about, the inner voice or guidance that you have. Uh, Simple way first is to try and follow it. So next time you are able to hear that voice or be aware of that voice, try to follow it. So the more you follow it, the stronger it'll become. You'll be able to communicate more frequently with it. You'll be able to understand it. And there'll be a point where you will always be aware of this voice. You'll never feel alone because there's always someone with you.
So kind of moving on just a little bit, we've mentioned relationships and we've mentioned friendships. What is the difference between the two, or how do we keep the two separate when it comes to loneliness or just having the right people around us? And how does that tie into productivity?
Yeah. So for me, relationships would be a subset of friendships. For me, highest is friendship. And based on that friendship, you could build another bond, right? So even if it's a partner that you have, the foundation has to be friendship, because friendship is open communication, honesty, freedom. If you don't have that, nothing will work. So friendship is the foundation for me. And then depending on what the dynamic is, the relationship can change. But friendship will always be. So I always strive for friendship in any relationship that I'm in. And that goes a long way in my productivity, because I always know that any point in my life, whatever I'm experiencing, I will receive help.
From your friends or from your relationships, or both?
Both, right? I know that I will receive help because that's the kind of foundation that I've tried to build. And I wouldn't have to think twice about reaching out for help. And that's one of the markers, let's say, of friendship, that how comfortable someone feels in asking you for help. It's not about you offering help, but it is how someone feels comfortable in asking you for help. That's when you know that you have a really good friend, or you have been a good friend. And that ties in because overall it helps me with my energy, with my emotions, that I don't have to worry about consequences. So when I'm trying to achieve something, I have some goals in mind, I will face challenges, but I don't have to worry so much about consequences, because I know that if I face a difficulty, help will be available. And that's a major part of productivity.
So I guess you wouldn't really consider relationships, you see, in terms of productivity, relationships and friendships being in the same kind of category of you're having the help when you need it? Or is there a difference between how you use the two for your own personal growth or productivity?
Yeah. So when you say relationships, what is your
Or
understanding?
a more closer, like a partner, for example.
Okay, so let's take partner, right? So like I'd mentioned, like even it's a partner, it's first a friend, right? If there's no friendship, then it's very difficult to be with someone. Now the additional layer which comes in a partner, which is all created by us, is expectations. That because you are my partner, because let's say I'm living with you and we are in kind of a contract, so to say, okay, you will do this, I will do this, and we will take care of each other. And for me, I would still maintain as friendship. So even in partnership, I strive for freedom, that I want to give complete freedom. Like whatever you need to do, you do. Whatever decisions you have to make in life, you make those. I shouldn't be the reason why you are modifying or changing a decision. So then it frees me also.
Because ideally you get the same thing back?
I get the same thing back.
Okay.
Right. And then I can focus on things that I need to do. And it's not always trying to combine things or manage things, and then you feel dissatisfied. So going back to open communication and freedom is like a foundation for any kind of association.
All right, so now we're going to kind of move on to talking a little bit deeper into loneliness. What is the relationship between loneliness and the mind? How does our emotions kind of play into that?
Yes. If you dissect loneliness for what it is, right? That I don't have a support system, or I will not get the help I need. I don't have people to interact with. So these are all thoughts, right? But loneliness itself is the main, you can say it's the emotion that you're experiencing. People can call it depression, people can call it feeling low, different words for the same thing. And the reason why people may experience it is there is a lack of connection. So either connection with people outside or connection with that voice that we've been talking about, because this connection is what fuels the energy. So connection, you can see, is again like a bridge or a channel where you receive and give energy. So when there is lack of connection, then there is no way in which the energy of loneliness is being managed, and it'll keep increasing. And loneliness will then drive your thoughts that I'm always alone, nobody comes to help me, I have to do this on my own, I have all these challenges. So these thoughts keep happening. But the moment connection is there, a good connection, positive energy keeps flowing, and that keeps neutralizing the thoughts that you have and makes you feel more positive, more passionate, more full of vigor, I would say, to go and achieve your goals.
So this is kind of something I'm struggling with, trying to decide what to do. So I want to take the MCAT in a few months, and I've been kind of telling myself that I have to become like uninvolved so I can focus. But in the long run, will that just be unhealthy, and I'll just kind of get burnt out because I won't have that connection with other people to re-energize myself?
Yeah. So a lot of it is, I would leave to personal choices, right? Now, if you have a short-term goal, like in the next 2-3 months, you have to really focus and you have to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
You have to differentiate between casual associations and relationships, for example, or friendships.
Mm-hmm.
I would drop all the casual interactions, right? I would still do my interactions with the friendships that I have, even if though I have the goal, because unless you have built your mind in a way that you can just completely switch off and just focus for 3 months and do it. But most people that I've met, they need that flow of energy from outside
Mm-hmm.
to support them once in a while. So you may have periods where you are focused, but it's always beneficial to have breaks, intentional breaks, where you have calendarized your interactions with your friends.
So is this the idea? I think I've heard it among some really like busy people, whether it's doctors or even medical students, to write an agenda and include your breaks on there, your social interactions.
Yes.
Okay, got it. And so how can one replace loneliness with joy rather than, just kind of trying to avoid loneliness by surrounding yourself with the right people? How do we replace it with something like joy?
Yeah. So in the brain also, the centers are same. So joy and loneliness come from the same part of your brain. It's the only difference, or what gets activated, is the connection. So if you're connected to something positive, you are going to experience joy. If you're connected to something negative, you're going to experience loneliness. And you have to make sure that how you have built those connections, either with the voice within you or the people outside. So a lot of loneliness will again keep boiling down to your interactions with people and the interaction you have with yourself. And what is the quality of the interaction? Open communication, freedom, which will lead to joy. If there is control and fear in your interactions, it will again go to loneliness.
So you mentioned that we should get rid of like our casual relationships when we have like a goal that we're set on. So how do you determine what is a casual relationship?
Yeah. Or what you should not focus on, right?
Yes.
So next time you meet a friend or an acquaintance, uh, share an opinion about anything, any strong opinion that you have, that I like this, or I feel things should be like ABC, whatever it is. Could be political too, but I would avoid that. But any topic, right? It could be sports, it could be movies, it could be food, and see the response. So if they respond by negating your opinion, that no, what you think is not correct, or trying to change your opinion to match with what they think, okay, this is all control. But if they accept your opinion and they acknowledge it, and they also share theirs, but there's no force that you have to think the way I do. So you quickly know that this person is able to accept the thoughts of someone else, opinions of others, and not trying to change or modify anything. So that's freedom. So you could practice that. So you will know immediately if someone stands for freedom, or someone is very closed up and only is able to go with their own thought process. But you have to reciprocate the same, right? So when someone is sharing any opinion or thoughts with you, how do you respond? So it goes both ways. But this is a very quick way to figure out. Like, I gave this advice when someone was trying to find the right partner for them, right? So there's a system in which you meet. Like, if you can't find a partner on your own, you have apps which match you with people, that you meet them and you interact with them and figure out if they're good for you. So one girl had approached me to ask, okay, I'm meeting this guy. How should I know if it's the right guy for me? I told the same thing. So you share about your opinions and see how the person responds, if they accept it or not. So it's as simple as that.
So you gauge whether or not a relationship is worth, or relationship with anyone is worth seeking after, if they give you the freedom.
Yes.
But how do you determine between them being controlling and them just maybe giving you better like life advice? Like, you should maybe go work out more, but you think, no, it's better if I sit on the couch all day. Like, is that being controlling, or is that them helping you to improve?
Yeah. So now this can vary with people, but someone who believes in freedom will always first ask your permission, that I want to share something. Is it okay if I share this with you? Rather than, this is what you should be doing and this is the best thing for you. So there's always a request approach from someone who believes in freedom.
See, I understand.
I guess so. This is more of, and it could also be used as advice for the other end too.
Yes.
Next time we meet people,
Yes.
I should be able to properly give them the freedom to make their own decision.
Yes.
And then also make sure to ask them permission before providing any advice I have, or my opinions. Great. Well, thank you so much. This was really informative. Would you be able to kind of summarize the key takeaways for our viewers or listeners?
Yes. So we've discussed a lot of topics. It will boil down to three things that you have to focus on. One is connection, second is association, third is purpose. So when we say purpose, it is having your own goal or vision in your mind, which is driving you forward in life, and finding associations to support that. So when we say association, it could be people, it could be situations, it could be events. So any environment or people that you can associate with, which give you the right energy to move forward towards your purpose. And third is connection. So when you are associating with these people or situations, what is the quality of that connection that you're building, which is built on that open communication and freedom, and connecting with both the people around you and also that voice that is there within you. And all of that, then again, you would never feel loneliness in your life if you have all this.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
To wrap up, we'll leave you with a quote to remember this episode by. The following quote is by Sharon Salzberg, a New York Times best-selling author and a meditation pioneer. She says, "Loneliness is a lack of emotional intimacy. It's not about being by yourself. It's about being emotionally disconnected from the people around you." Until next time, stay productive, positive, and keep pushing the boundary of what is possible. Thank you for tuning in. We will catch you in the next episode.